You wake up, the world seems the same, stocks are up, stocks are down, the news tells you everything is fine, but something moves quietly, out of sight, a shift no one talks about, a shift the ultra-rich have already made. They are leaving the markets, the banks, the assets everyone trusts, and they are doing it silently, while the rest of the world waits, blind, unaware. Money is flowing in directions you cannot see, and if you don't notice, you might be too late. Because true wealth, the kind that lasts, is never flashy, it moves in silence. This is the silent billionaire shift, and what you are about to see will change the way you think about money forever. Look around, the world feels familiar. Stocks, real estate, bonds, they all seem stable, reliable, comforting. The headlines tell you to trust them. Financial experts nod at their charts. News anchors reassure you everything is fine. But the ultra-rich, they see a different picture. Where you see calm, they see tension. Where you see stability, they see hidden risk. And that is the difference. Most people think wealth grows in public markets. They think safety comes from tradition, but let's be honest. Public markets are crowded, overvalued, controlled by sentiment, and heavily influenced by short-term thinking. A single announcement, a small shift in interest rates, a whisper of political change, and the market reacts violently. For the average investor, it feels like chaos, but for the ultra-rich, it's predictable. They understand the rhythm, the hidden cycles that govern volatility, and they position themselves accordingly. They know the truth. The system everyone trusts is designed to reward those who see beyond the obvious. Stocks, bonds, and real estate have long been the pillars of wealth. But today, those pillars are shaking. Interest rates fluctuate unpredictably. Global debt grows silently. Inflation eats away at purchasing power. And here's a subtle truth. Most people measure wealth by numbers on a screen. The ultra-rich measure wealth by control. A house in Manhattan, a luxury apartment in Paris. They don't buy for status. They buy for strategic advantage. Liquidity, tax efficiency, privacy. These are the rules the mainstream investor ignores. Meanwhile, entire markets are inflated by speculation. Bubbles form quietly, and when they pop, the masses panic and the billionaires profit or remain untouched. What's happening now is subtle, almost imperceptible. While everyday investors focus on quarterly gains, the ultra-rich are watching macro trends. Currency flows, political stability, resource scarcity, technology disruptions. These aren't headlines. These aren't talking points. These are whispers invisible to most, but loud to those who listen. They ask questions like, which market is overvalued? Where is risk growing unnoticed? Which asset class is losing value silently? And they act not for fame, not for short-term gain, but for long-term dominance. The world is no longer centered on a single economy. The ultra-rich are diversifying globally, not just for money, but for security. Emerging markets, hidden cities, private ventures, these are their playgrounds. While the average investor clings to home country stocks, the ultra-wealthy move capital quietly across continents. They hedge against inflation, against currency instability, against political risk. It's not gambling, it's strategy. And the fascinating part, most people will never see it happening. Most people will never understand it. But the wealth grows. Where you see risk, they see opportunity. Consider rare assets, private equity deals hidden from the public, art collections that appreciate quietly over decades, commodities that fluctuate in secret markets. These aren't flashy, they aren't reported in newspapers, but they are more reliable than traditional stocks. And the ultra-rich don't just invest, they control these assets. They shape markets from behind the scenes. Imagine a stock that everyone loves today and tomorrow collapses under speculation. The ultra-rich don't panic. They move first, they exit quietly, and they enter assets no one else can touch. It's invisible, it's patient, it's powerful. In the past, information moved slowly. News traveled in newspapers, markets responded after the fact, and most people were always late. Today, the ultra-rich have access to data in real time, AI-driven insights. Private analytics firms, global market intelligence, they see patterns before anyone else. They anticipate risks, they act while others react. And this is why the shift is silent. Because the world sees numbers, but the ultra-rich see trends. Numbers are static, trends are alive, and trends create opportunity before the world notices. Most people believe wealth is about growth, but it's about protection. The ultra-rich know that even small losses can compound over time. A single market downturn, a sudden political shift, a regulatory change, it can wipe out decades of savings. That's why they move silently. They hedge. They diversify. They plan not for headlines, but for longevity. And here's the subtle danger. While you chase high returns, they are chasing control. Not excitement, not status, control. And the gap between ordinary investors and billionaires is widening every single day. The markets appear calm. News anchors speak about stability. Analysts predict growth. Everyone nods, content with the surface. But beneath the calm, money is shifting quietly out of traditional markets into invisible assets and global ventures. The ultra-rich don't announce it. They don't tweet it. They don't post about it. Because power, the kind that lasts, doesn't need validation. And soon, the silent shift you are watching will become the defining financial event of this era. This is the landscape most people ignore, the calm before the billionaire storm. While ordinary investors focus on numbers, the ultra-rich focus on what the numbers hide. And now, having seen the risks, the invisible flows, the quiet opportunities, you will understand why they leave traditional markets. Because the future doesn't wait for the uninformed. Wealth is not about working harder. It is not about chasing numbers or following trends. Wealth is about seeing what others cannot see, predicting what others will ignore, acting when others hesitate. The ultra-rich, they operate on a different plane. Where most people see risk, they see opportunity. Where most see chaos, they see patterns, invisible, subtle, undeniable. This is not luck. This is mindset. The mindset that allows them to leave traditional markets and profit quietly while the world waits. The world is unpredictable. Markets rise, markets fall. News headlines scream, social media panics. Most investors react emotionally. They buy when they feel safe. They sell when fear strikes. The ultra-rich, they do not react. They control their exposure, control their timing, control their assets. Imagine a storm approaching. Ordinary people run blindly. The ultra-rich, they chart the storm. They find shelter before it arrives, and they profit from those who panic. This is the first secret. Wealth is predictable action in an unpredictable world. Diversification is not about owning a few stocks in different sectors. That is ordinary thinking. True diversification, the kind billionaires practice, is invisible. It spans private companies, international ventures, rare commodities, digital assets, luxury items that appreciate quietly. Every move is strategic. Every asset a hedge. While most people put everything into the stock they know, the ultra-rich place their wealth where most eyes cannot reach. The difference is simple. Visibility is dangerous. Invisibility is security. And over time, invisibility multiplies wealth silently. Patience, this is the quiet superpower of the ultra-rich. Where ordinary investors panic after a dip, billionaires wait. Where ordinary investors chase hype, they sit. They observe, they calculate, they understand time is an ally. A deal that seems impossible today becomes inevitable tomorrow. A market that seems overvalued becomes a safe haven once others flee. And this patience, this silent waiting, creates an advantage no headline can measure. In the modern era, information is everything. But most people see information as news or stock tips or tweets from analysts. The ultra-rich see patterns. They have private analysts. They have networks of intelligence. They track movements before markets notice. A single insight, unnoticed by the world, can yield millions quietly while everyone else chases noise. This is why the shift is silent, because the ultra-rich act before visibility, before panic, before headlines. The ultra-rich rarely play by the rules of the ordinary investor. They know stocks can be manipulated, real estate can be overvalued, currency markets can shift suddenly, so they avoid obvious traps and create their own paths. They don't compete for popularity, they don't chase attention, they don't advertise success. They operate quietly, strategically, invisibly, and that is how empires are built. Where others see crisis, they see opportunity. A collapsing market, a sudden regulation, a political upheaval, these are not threats. These are openings. While the world panics, they act, and not recklessly, deliberately, with foresight. The ultra-rich understand a simple truth. Every crisis contains hidden wealth. It is invisible, hidden from the uninformed, waiting for the patient, the quiet, the calculated. True luxury is not about cars or yachts. It is about freedom, the freedom to act without scrutiny, the freedom to move without obstruction, the freedom to wait and watch and profit quietly. Luxury becomes a tool, not a display. It allows billionaires to operate beyond observation, to secure assets, and to shape markets silently. Every private jet, every discrete property, every offshore account serves a strategic purpose. Not vanity, not ego, but control. The ultra-rich don't think in months or even years. They think in decades, centuries, legacies. Every decision, every investment, every move is calculated to endure, to grow quietly, to multiply. While ordinary investors chase short-term gains, they shape industries. They influence economies. They secure lasting control. And that is the difference, the key to their mindset. Predict trends before they happen. Ignore the obvious. Act quietly. Value control over recognition. While most people focus on wealth as numbers, they focus on power, freedom, and security. Money is only a tool. The real asset is the ability to act invisibly and decisively. The billionaire mindset is not about risk, it is about perception. Where others panic, they see clarity. Where others hesitate, they see opportunity. Where others follow, they lead silently. This mindset, this perspective, is why they can leave traditional markets and thrive in ways ordinary investors cannot imagine. The world speaks quietly, not through headlines, not through social media, not through financial news. The signs are subtle, almost invisible, yet they reveal everything, and if you cannot see them, you will be late. The ultra-rich see these signals. They act before the noise arrives. They understand the future is always hinted at before it is obvious. And today we will look at these whispers, these invisible currents of wealth, the warning signs most people miss: interest rates. The average investor sees a percentage, a number. They nod, adjust their portfolio, and continue scrolling. The ultra-rich see the story behind the numbers. A subtle rise in rates, a slight shift in central bank policy, can signal a market that will falter or an asset class about to surge quietly. They act silently, protecting their wealth or moving into opportunities others cannot touch. Because for billionaires, every small fluctuation is a story, a warning, a chance, currency. To most, it is an abstract concept. Dollar, euro, yen, they watch exchange rates maybe for travel. The ultra-rich, they live in it. Every subtle fluctuation, every quiet shift in foreign reserves, every whispered policy change, it signals risk or opportunity long before markets react. They move assets quietly, protecting wealth hedging, shaping their global advantage. And the average investor never notices. Most people follow headlines. Company X reports profits, Company Y announces layoffs, but billionaires watch what is not announced. Executive reshuffles, hidden debt, quiet mergers and acquisitions, insider movements, these invisible signs predict shifts in value before anyone else knows. A single quiet decision can ripple through industries, changing fortunes silently for those paying attention. Politics is louder than ever. News covers scandals, elections, protests. Everyone sees the surface, the spectacle, the drama. The ultra-rich, they read the subtext. Policy proposals that affect taxes quietly, regulatory shifts that reshape markets, trade agreements whispered behind closed doors. The world reacts slowly, but billionaires anticipate quickly. And that is why they can move wealth silently, leaving traditional investors exposed, waiting for news that is already outdated. Resources, the things that make the world run, water, energy, rare metals, agricultural assets, the average person ignores them. They are too busy with daily life checking stocks, scrolling feeds, counting gains, the ultra-rich. They track scarcity quietly long before prices spike, long before markets notice. Because resources are the foundation of lasting wealth and billionaires control them invisibly while ordinary investors chase volatility. Technology, the world sees gadgets, apps, hype, trends. Most people invest late after everyone else has validated the idea. The ultra-rich invest first, before validation, before risk is widely recognized. AI, biotech, quantum computing, private platforms, underground innovations. They see which technologies will disrupt industries, quietly position themselves, and profit as the world catches up. The warning sign is always there, the quiet hint, the subtle signal, but most people miss it entirely. Markets are emotional. They panic, they overreact, they chase hype. The ultra-rich watch behavior, not numbers alone. When ordinary investors act out of fear or greed, the billionaires position themselves, quietly, deliberately, taking advantage of predictable mistakes. And the average investor believes it is luck, or timing, or chance. It is not. It is observation. It is discipline. It is patience. When markets seem stable, when everything appears normal, that is the most dangerous time. The ultra-rich feel the tension, the subtle warnings, the invisible currents, and they act silently because the world reacts too slowly and the opportunity fades before most even notice. The calm is never what it seems. It is the stage for the next wave of invisible wealth. The warning signs are everywhere, but hidden interest rates, currencies, corporate whispers, politics, resources, behavior, technology, all signals, all clues. All invisible unless you know where to look. The ultra-rich do. They anticipate, they position, they profit silently. Most people will never notice. And if you want to think like them, you must start to see the invisible currents of wealth before the world reacts. The world sees wealth and assumes it is flashy. Cars, yachts, private jets, parties, glamour, recognition. But the real story, the story that builds empires, happens quietly. Far from the public eye, these are stories of patience, observation, strategy, and courage, moments where billionaires acted. While the rest of the world waited, imagine a billionaire, let's call him Alexander. Alexander has investments in multiple stock markets. He watches daily, quietly, charts, trends, whispers in financial circles. One morning, he notices a subtle pattern: interest rates slightly rising, corporate debt quietly increasing. Most investors see nothing. They buy and hold, trusting history, expecting stability. Alexander acts. He moves billions quietly out of the public markets into private ventures, assets that appreciate slowly, silently. Weeks later, the market dips violently. News anchors panic. Investors cry losses, but Alexander, unmoved, patient, wealth intact, growing quietly. The key, he saw what no one else saw. Another billionaire, Isabella. She notices early signs, subtle political instability, and inflation whispers in multiple countries. Most people panic. They stick to domestic markets. They worry about currency changes. They overreact or freeze. Isabella quietly moves assets globally, real estate in emerging markets, private companies poised to grow. Rare commodities that the masses ignore. She does not announce it. No press release. No headlines. Years later, those markets surge. Her early investments double, then triple, while everyone else chases the obvious and loses. The lesson: wealth often grows where the world is blind. A third billionaire, Sebastian. During a sudden financial crisis, everyone panics, banks fail, stock prices collapse, people sell in fear. Sebastian sees the opportunity, not in headlines. Not in hype, but in the silent signals. He acquires assets, distressed companies, undervalued resources, rare technologies, quietly before anyone else notices. When markets recover, he has acquired treasures at pennies on the dollar. Fortunes that others lost in fear. Crisis, for most, is danger. For him, it is the invisible gateway to growth, private equity. Most people do not understand it. They see stocks, bonds, maybe real estate, and assume they are enough. But billionaires, they use private equity to create control. One billionaire quietly acquires a controlling stake in a tech startup before the market even knows it exists. No press, no attention, just a quiet transaction. Years later, the startup dominates its industry. His initial silent move multiplies wealth exponentially, and the public only notices after the growth is undeniable. By then, the opportunity is gone. Another story, Elena. She invests in rare art, not for beauty, not for display, but for security and appreciation. Paintings, sculptures, collectibles, assets that grow quietly, immune to stock market volatility. While people chase crypto hype or daily stock trends, she positions wealth in assets that cannot disappear overnight. Decades later, the value has multiplied, quietly, steadily, protected from panic, speculation, and volatility. Luxury, patience, control all come together in a single silent strategy. What do these stories reveal? 1. Silence is power. Public attention destroys opportunity. 2. Timing is everything. Acting before the world reacts multiplies advantage. 3. Control over visibility. Wealth is safest when unseen. 4. Crisis is opportunity. Most flee, they move in. 5. Long-term thinking, patience multiplies wealth quietly. 6. Diversification beyond the obvious. True security spans assets, borders, and industries. The ultra-rich don't just get lucky. They see, wait, act, and repeat. Silently, strategically, patiently. These case studies show what ordinary investors cannot see. Wealth is not about noise. It is not about headlines. It is not about public validation. It is about observation, patience, and invisible control. And while the world reacts, they act first. The world waits, the world panics. The world follows headlines blindly, but you are learning to see the invisible. The ultra-rich operate quietly, not out of secrecy, but out of discipline. And the lessons they leave behind are yours if you are willing to notice and act. Wealth is not a destination. It is a perspective, a mindset, a lens through which opportunity becomes visible before everyone else sees it. Most people invest where everyone else invests. They chase trends. They follow the crowd. The ultra-rich do not. They look for opportunities that are ignored, undervalued, invisible. A technology not yet mainstream. A property overlooked by the masses. A private company no one has heard of. They move where the world is blind, and that is where real advantage lies. For you, the lesson is simple. Stop following the headlines. Start asking questions. Look deeper, see what others cannot. The world wants fast results, quick returns, instant validation. The ultra-rich, they wait. They understand time is a superpower. A patient move today becomes a fortune tomorrow. Do not be rushed by market noise. Do not panic at volatility. Learn to wait, observe, act quietly, deliberately. Patience is the silent engine of wealth, and it is undervalued by almost everyone. Public recognition, social validation, fame, these are distractions. The ultra-rich understand. True power, true wealth grows best when unseen. They act quietly. They protect assets discreetly. They avoid unnecessary exposure. For you, this means keep your plans private. Focus on strategy, not applause, because the world rarely applauds silent, smart action, but it always rewards the prepared. Diversification is more than spreading risk. It is about creating optionality. It is about positioning yourself to move freely across markets, assets, borders, opportunities. Stocks, real estate, bonds, these are just the beginning. Consider. Private ventures, rare commodities, emerging technologies, global real estate. The ultra-rich don't just invest. They engineer flexibility. For you, the lesson is clear. Expand your view. Think globally. Don't put all your eggs in obvious baskets. Most people react emotionally. They buy when everyone else buys. They sell when everyone else panics. The ultra-rich watch behavior. They track patterns. They act strategically, not impulsively. Observation is the key to silent advantage. Learning to watch without reacting allows you to move before the noise arrives. This is a skill you can develop, and it is more valuable than luck, more than timing, because it allows you to see the invisible currents of wealth. Crisis terrifies most people. Markets collapse, companies fail, money disappears. The ultra-rich see something different. They see opportunity, hidden value, assets available quietly, waiting for the patient, fear paralyses the unprepared. Opportunity rewards the silent observer. You must learn to recognize the moment when others flee and step forward, carefully, deliberately, not recklessly, but with foresight. Luxury is not just a lifestyle, it is a tool. A resource that grants control, time, privacy, freedom to act without distraction. The ultra-rich leverage luxury to operate beyond observation, to protect wealth, and to multiply it silently. For you, the lesson is subtle. Seek freedom, not status. Control over your life, over your assets, over your time is the true form of luxury. Ordinary investors think in months, quarters, headlines. The ultra-rich think in decades. Their investments, their moves, their decisions are designed to endure, to compound, to create legacies. Do not chase instant success. Do not seek validation. Focus on the long game, quietly, strategically, luxuriously. Because wealth that lasts is built slowly, invisibly, patiently. The lessons are clear. 1. Think beyond the obvious. 2. Patience is power. 3. Control visibility. 4. Diversify intelligently. 5. Observe before acting. 6. See opportunity in crisis. 7. Treat luxury as freedom. 8. Think decades ahead. This is how the ultra-rich operate. This is how fortunes are made, quietly, strategically, invisibly. If you embrace these lessons, you can start to see what others cannot. You can begin to act while the world waits, and slowly, patiently, you can position yourself among the quietly powerful. You have seen it, the markets, the whispers, the invisible currents, the moves the ultra-rich make quietly, strategically, while the world panics, while headlines scream, while ordinary investors chase numbers. They act silently, deliberately, patiently, and now you understand. The world is not what it seems. The calm is often a mask. The noise is often distraction. The opportunities, the real opportunities, are hidden, invisible, waiting for those who can see. Wealth is not about speed. It is not about show. It is about perception, patience, and control. Those who act too late follow the crowd. Those who act first shape the world quietly and profit silently. This is the silent billionaire shift. And it continues every day, every moment, unseen, unnoticed, unstoppable. If you want to see more, if you want to understand more, if you want to learn the stories behind invisible wealth, subscribe to Capital Lux, where the world's secrets are revealed one quiet story at a time. Watch closely, listen carefully, because the silent shift is only getting louder.